Welcome back, friends, to a story of friendship. The friendship between two Dorset heroes named Hardy and Shaw, but also of two brothers named Lawrence and Rex Whistler. And finally, last but not least, of the friendship between two very modern brothers named Benjamin and Alexander Maton. How on earth can I link all of those 6 characters in one single video? Well, why don't you join me in peaceful Dorset to find out? A century ago, you'd still have heard the clip-clop of hooves here in Dorset. But you may also have heard the roar of a gruff, superior motorcycle darting about these country lanes. That motorcycle was ridden by a man named T.E. Shaw, but you probably know him better as T.E. Lawrence of Arabia. His time here was cut tragically short, but it's a pleasure to share in the countryside he loved. I'm pleased to say that it is an absolutely perfect spring morning. And it's really good to be here in one of Dorset's quaintest villages, Morton. Normally, when you go into a village church, you leave the outdoors behind. But this is a rare instance where the church is in complete unity with nature. I bet you've never seen anything like this before. On a more somber note, the door that I've just passed through is the same door which Winston Churchill, Siegfried Sassoon, Augustus John, and Mrs. Florence Hardy, among others, entered through back in 1935 for the funeral of T.E. Lawrence. But what a splendid place. It didn't always look like this, though. There's been lots of work done to this church. For a rather astonishing and horrifying reason, actually. If you take a look at this photo, St. Nicholas's Church in Morton, bombed October the 8th, 1940. And to the right you can see a photo of the church before the bombing. Right in the left-hand corner you can see the pipes of the church organ, which would have been blown to pieces. It was a stray German bomb, probably meant for one of the camps nearby. But the church suffered a direct hit, I'm afraid. Afterwards, it was rebuilt, of course. And one of the most fantastic features is the array of windows. They're not stained glass, they're engraved glass. And they are the masterpiece of Lawrence Whistler. They were completed over 30 years from 1955 as private funds became available. One of them, on the left-hand side, actually shows the church bombed and then restored. But elsewhere, there is a very grand theme of light with all of these candles. I just can't help staring at them for ages and ages. And I'm sure I'll do that later, after Alex has arrived. I think my favourite window has to be here in this chapel on the south side. Let me take you through. I wish you were actually here with me because this place has so much character. There's actually a fireplace in this chapel. But on the right here we see one of the most poignant windows which Lawrence Whistler created. You can see these floods of light which are accentuated by the real amazing sunlight that we have today, which I'm very fortunate for. Also here you can see Salisbury Cathedral and a crashed fighter plane. So this window is a memorial. Incredibly beautiful and one of a kind, actually. I actually visited this church a few weeks ago while I was doing the rounds looking for different buildings I could maybe film at. And before I came, I had kind of written off this church because it has an electronic organ, but you can now see why I would choose to film here. And it's a place which really lends itself to a different kind of treatment. And I have just the right plan, I think, although I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, because I've never filmed anything with Alex before. So this is the electronic organ which replaced the pipe organ. Personally, I think you know what I think of these. It's a bit like replacing the windows with plastic ones. I'll probably cut that bit out. But if it stays in the film, then I'm a very naughty boy indeed. But that's what I think. It's a shame. The choir stalls are incredible. You could actually have a fantastic evensong service here, couldn't you? Make an amazing sound. The acoustic's brilliant as well because there aren't lots of soft furnishings. It's a completely unique form of church building, isn't it? So in a minute my brother is going to arrive and he brings with him my musical solution to this church. I'd much rather have something with air going through it than electricity. It's quite a vantage point from here. I can't wait for this. This church is a network of extraordinary themes. Love and life, darkness and light, all intertwined. Lawrence of Arabia's funeral was short and simple, with the 121st Psalm, a reading, and the hymn Jesu, Lover of My Soul. 5 years later, a stray bomb blew half the church to pieces, but its destruction sowed the seeds of Lawrence Whistler's masterpiece. Whistler was an intriguing character too. He was a pioneering glass engraver and a poet, and creativity ran in his family. His brother, Rex, was a painter and designer who leased a large house in Salisbury Cathedral Close for their parents. Rex died in 1944, serving as a tank commander, and I expect that Lawrence, who outlived his brother by more than half a century, was thinking of him as he engraved Salisbury's spire into the glasswork. So a different kind of performance is needed. Alex arrives, bringing my harmonium with him. I'm delighted to introduce you to him because he's been a great companion to me since forever. Not wishing to get too soppy, but these two brothers both attended the same schools, and we were even undergraduates at Oxford at the same time. I've given him one of my favourite Thomas Hardy poems, whose opening is like a metaphor for Morton Church. and rumbling underneath is an echo of T.E. Lawrence's funeral hymn.
That night, your great guns, unawares, shook all our coffins as we lay, and broke the chancel window squares. We thought it was the judgment day, and sat upright, while drearisome arose the howl of wakened hounds. The mouse let fall the altar crumb, the worms drew back into the mounds. The glebe cow drooled, till God called, "No, it's gunnery practice out at sea. Just as before you went below, the world is as it used to be. All nations striving strong to make red war yet redder. Mad as hatters, they do no more for Christus' sake than you who are helpless in such matters." That this is not the judgment hour for some of them's a blessed thing. For if it were, they'd have to scour hell's floor for so much fretting. It'll be warmer when I blow the trumpet, if indeed I ever do. For you are men, and rest eternal sorely need. So, down we lay again. I wonder, will the world ever saner be, said one, than when he sent us under in our indifferent century? And many a skeleton shook his head. Instead of preaching 40 year, my neighbour Parson Ferdley said, I wish I'd stuck to pipes and beer. Again, the guns disturbed the hour, roaring their readiness to avenge, as far inland as Sturton Tower, and Camelot, and starlit Stonehenge.
Nobody could better encapsulate the drama and chaos of the age like Thomas Hardy. Yet it's almost unbelievable that he and Lawrence of Arabia were great friends. They seem almost to hail from completely different eras in our history. But Lawrence was a scholar at heart. His own grave is inscribed with the motto of Oxford University. And he described heaven as a soft armchair with the works of the complete poets beside him. Despite his military achievements, he had a distinctly quiet side. He enjoyed listening to classical music, writing, reading, and reflecting here at Clouds Hill, his cottage near Morton. This was the place that he loved the most. This is where he'd entertain writers like Hardy and Robert Graves. And this is where he revised his epic memoir, 7 Pillars of Wisdom. I can't help but finish with another Hardy, Lawrence and Maton fusion.
That is a quiet place, that house in the trees with the shady lawn. If, child, you knew what there goes on, you would not call it a quiet place. Why, a phantom abides there, the last of its race, and a brain spins there till dawn. But I see nobody there. Nobody moves about the green, or wanders the heavy trees between. Ah, that's because you do not bear the visioning powers of souls who dare to pierce the material screen. Morning, noon, and night, mid those funereal shades that seem the uncanny scenery of a dream. Figures dance to a mind with sight, and music and laughter like floods of light make all the precincts gleam. It is a poet's bower, through which there pass, in fleet arrays, long teams of all the years and days, of joys and sorrows, of earth and heaven, that meet mankind in its ages 7, an ion in an hour.
YouTube is a funny old thing. You get to see what's inside my head and the ideas that I have in a state which isn't quite polished always, but it's always authentic, and I'm always trying my best to produce something which is meaningful and thought-provoking for you as I see these amazing buildings. I would love to go to Little Gidding and read the poem Little Gidding. I'd also love to go to Beanie Cliff, and there is an amazing church there, and read the poem Beanie Cliff, which is fantastic. But you get to see my ideas as they develop, and some of you have been with me for a very long time, and I'm really grateful for that, and I hope you enjoy seeing this progression. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please do consider leaving a small donation to help me out. YouTube is great because it's completely individual, but the flip side of that is that I have to fund everything entirely on my own. And if you like my work every week, and I always try to produce a video once a week, you can leave a small donation if you wish. You might be here for the churches, you might be here for the music. You are all extremely welcome. But do remember that I do need your support to keep doing this. If you're enjoying this video, you might like to leave a donation using PayPal below. Underneath this video, there is a link to my PayPal donations page. And from there, you can leave a small donation if you wish. I would be so grateful for your help. Thank you. If you'd like to donate a different way, do just head to my website, which is benmatonmusic.co.uk. And from there, on the contact page, you can see the address to send a cheque to. Thank you so much. I always wanted this video to end quietly. But I went to another church near Morton, which is quite poignant, much more ancient. And this was the church which Lawrence of Arabia spent much of his time, actually. It reminded him of the Crusader castles, which he investigated in his younger days. But when he knew it, it was completely derelict. It was in a dire state of repair. It was actually a shell. But this is an 11th century church, one of the most extraordinary Saxon buildings in Dorset, if not in England. And here we find something very special indeed. I will leave you with a short piece and wish you a very happy new week. And I will see you at Easter. Cheerio.